And welcome friends to another video. This is MiamiCOIndiana. Today I'm going to show you how to easily clean a box fan. This is something that needs done from time to time because the blades accumulate a lot of dirt. Tools we're going to need for the project, you're either going to need a straight edge or a Phillips screwdriver depending on the type of screws you have. I have a mix of both, so obviously I must have lost some screws and replaced them with other ones. You're also going to need a rag so we can wipe down the debris. I have a bucket of just warm, slightly soapy water with just a little mild detergent. This is just detergent I put in there, and just a little bit just to give some grease cutting. And I do highly recommend too you get a little container like this to put your screws in so you don't lose them when you go to reassemble the fan back together. Now I've already removed the backside, and as you'll see we have quite a bit of dirt here that needs cleaned off. So I'm just going to remove this side here, show you how easy that is to do. So you're going to have a back panel and a front panel. I'll go ahead and get my flat screws out here real quick. Now, very, very important before you start a project like this is to make sure when you're dealing with any electronic that you unplug it. Make sure your unit is unplugged for safety reasons. So I've got a few more screws to take off. You just undo the screws. They go all the way around the grate, and we're going to put those in our little container so we don't lose them. So once you have all the screws taken out, the grate will just lift right off. So there's the front grate. The back grate, you're not going to get it mixed up. You see the back grate has this thing here like for the motor, and your front grate most likely is going to have a little thing like this, and it won't have that circle. All the fans I've seen, the box fans, are made just like that, so you won't mix up which one goes where. Okay, now we got it apart. The first thing I'm going to do is clean these blades. The reason we want these clean, you see especially along here, the accumulation of dust. When you get a lot of dust accumulating on the edges, and it's mostly on the edges, there's some on the blade itself, but a lot of it's on the edges, it's going to add a little bit more weight. These are very plastic and very lightweight, so that dust does add a little weight when you have it on all 5 of the blades. And it also won't cut through the air as well when you have that dust. So you actually will be, number one, making the motor run a little harder. Number two, you won't be cutting through the air as good, which is meaning you're not going to get as good of airflow as you will when it's clean. After you clean a box fan that's dirty like this, you will notice it's going to blow a lot better air. So I'm just taking my rag, dipping it in my soapy water. You want it wring out. You don't need a lot of water, so just a damp cloth, and you're simply going to wipe the blades down. Make sure you get the edges, and we can turn the fan on to do the other side, or turn the fan around, but you want to make sure those edges are clean. Now, how often you have to do this, the main thing is how often do you use the fan. If you use the fan like a couple hours a month, obviously you're not going to clean your fan very often. But if you're like me and I use it in the warm months a lot, almost all day long, to help circulate the air conditioning around and also give you kind of that cooling effect of a breeze. So it's really going to depend also how dirty your environment is. If you're running this in a wood shop, obviously it's going to get a lot dirtier faster than if you're running it in your house. So I'm just going, making sure the edges, the main point, and getting most of the debris off. There's the dust coming off. Notice also I have a towel under it. If you're working with on like your table or a surface you don't want damaged, make sure to put a towel down. It's not really for the moisture, it's or so you don't scratch your surface. I'll clean this side too. And I usually wipe down a little bit along the edges. There's really not much dirt there, but any dirt I see accumulated, I wipe the edges down as well. So we got this side looking pretty good. Let's flip it over. This is you see the blades I got pretty much under them. Now, very, very important when you're wiping down, see the dirt accumulation here on the motor? We won't wipe that off, but you want to make sure to wring all the water you can out of your rag, because we don't want to get water in the motor. So we want just a very, very lightly damp cloth, and we'll just wipe that right off. Most of the fans made today are called self-sealed, so you don't need to put oil. If you have a real old fan with like the metal blades, it's possible that it's going to say to oil it, and there'll be a little place on the motor, on the top part, where you can oil your motor. But most of them now are self-sealed, and that is not a requirement. They're made to keep oiled up for the life of the unit. You take care of your fan, they'll last a long, long time. This fan is probably 10 years old at least. Don't know for sure, but I know I've had it many years. It still works great. Okay, so you're just trying to get the worst off. Worst of the dirt accumulation. Mainly you want those blades. This is what you want to make sure is clean. So while we have it open, I just try to go ahead and get everything I can off. So I'm going to wipe on this side now. So I'm just wiping the blades on this side. Anything I may have missed from the other side. Again, check your edges, make sure they're clean. And don't put too much pressure on it. These are pretty fragile, they're pretty flimsy. If you break a blade, it'll be off balance and it won't work anymore. So you do want to be careful. Maybe put your hand under it, sometimes helps when you're wiping. So that's pretty good. The last thing I do is I also take some paper towel. That's going to wipe the excess moisture off and get any dirt I may have missed. So I just take a towel and wipe each blade down. Again, we want the worst of it off. If there's a speck of dirt on there, it's not going to hurt, because when you start using it, it will start collecting dirt again. So I'll turn it over here. Have a little bit of dirt on there, so I'm just going to wipe that off. And everything's going to be dry and ready to go again. But as you can see, it looks a little better than it did when I started, and that didn't take very much time either, and it doesn't. Now for your grates here, if you have your hose hooked up for outside, you can just stand these up somewhere and spray them off with your hose. That's the easiest way. Since it's still not real warm outside, I don't have my garden hose hooked up. So I just take these to the sink and use my rag and wash them off and rinse them off. And then they're ready to put back on. I'll go ahead and get my sink filled up and show you that part next. So be right back. So I got my sink about half full of just regular warm soapy water. Got my rag again. It's a little harder to do in a sink. It is easier to do this outside if your hose is on, but you still can do it in a sink. Just kind of go around each corner. We're just trying to get the worst off of this. To get any dust that's accumulated on it. And just give it a quick wipe. I usually do go over both sides. Again, just go corner to corner. When you have a small sink like this. If you have a big sink, use it. It'd be a lot easier. See, I'm just getting the worst of the dirt off. And I'll just put it over in the other sink to drain. And we'll do the same thing with the back grate as well. So this project really does not take a long time. It's not hard to do. Anyone can really do this. And it really is important. It keeps your fan really running a lot better, and you're going to get a lot more airflow as well. Yeah, this is definitely the dirty side. You see, I'm just going, since I have a small sink, just corner to corner and wiping until I get everything wiped out. And that's as easy as that is. You just put it in the other sink to drain. I usually give it just a quick rinse with water. I didn't use much soap, so there's not going to be a lot of soap residue on it. And that's how I clean those, and we'll be right back and show you how to reassemble the fan. And I'm back and ready for reassembly. So my grates are clean now. I'm going to put the back one on, and you're going to do the front one the same way. The back one is a little bit more tricky, is what I wanted to show you. You're going to notice a little notch here. That's for the power cord here. So you want to make sure that you have that notch lined up with your power cord. And then next, most of these fans have these little feet. This just keeps it balanced so it doesn't fall over when you're using it. You just wiggle them to take them off when you remove the grate to put them back on. There's little notches. The wide part you want towards the fan. And you're just going to wiggle it in until it goes down. And that helps hold the grate in, and it also gets your feet back on. So again, the wide side towards the fan. There's little notches down. And you just simply put your notches down. And then you just put your screws back in. You should have all your screws organized if you have your little container. Sometimes it's a little tricky lining up the holes. You just kind of, what I do is don't put them in all the way tight. I just kind of get them started and go around, because the holes have to line up. Not really anything that difficult, but sometimes it wants to move around on you. So everything seems to be lining up okay. So again, I'm just hand tightening these in just a little bit, and then I'll take the screwdriver and put them in. Okay, got one down here to do. It looks like each side takes 6 screws on this one. It's probably going to be the same for yours. Models can vary, but for the most sake. Alright, then I'm just going to take my screwdriver and screw these down. Now you don't want to over tighten these either. Just screw them down tight, but don't over tighten them. If you do, you risk cracking the plastic grate. That was one of my flatheads. Now the rest I think are Phillips. So just go down to, it doesn't turn. It's harder to turn, and that's tight enough. I have actually cracked one of these on a fan once by over tightening it. So you want to make sure you don't do that. So there's no power tools required on this. Just basic tools that you have. A bucket, some soapy water, and you're in business. Really easy to do. Okay, so we have the feet installed and the back done. Sometimes when you have other screws in, the other ones come a little loose. That one did. You just make sure that it's tight on there, and it is. If you don't have it tight enough, it'll rattle when you use the fan. So you're just going to do the same thing on this side, and there's no cords to go around, there's no feet to put on. The only thing on this one, for aesthetics, you probably want your label there on the top, so make sure that's on the top. The cord would be the bottom, that would be the top. And you do the same thing, just put the screws in this one, and then you'll have it complete. I'm not going to bore you with that because I already showed you how to put it together. Just wanted to show you the final product though. how much cleaner this looks, which means it's going to have a lot better airflow when I go to use it when the temperatures warm up. And also I want to state that box fans are very energy efficient. They really don't use that much power. One of these fans with the plastic blades on low, and it's going to vary model to model, average about 40 to 50 watts. And that's where I usually run mine on low. To put that in perspective, a little small 5,000 BTU air conditioner, even the energy efficient ones, use about 450 watts. So you can literally run 10 of these on low for the same amount of energy that one small little air conditioner would use. So if it's not too hot out, you can get by with just using fans. And when it gets hot and you use air conditioning, it really helps to circulate the air conditioning around your home, and it also gives you that wind chill effect and makes you feel cooler with the breeze going. So anyway, I just want to show you how to quickly clean a box fan. I'm going to finish putting these screws on and then my project is finished. Again, this project from front to end should take no one more than about 15 or 20 minutes. I want to thank you for joining me today. If you're not subscribed to the channel yet, I do invite you to hit the subscribe button. It really does help me out. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. I want to thank you for joining me again today. Till next time, I hope you have a great day. So long.